Institution Mobile, quality e-learning experience on the go.
The next thing we are looking into is pre-colonial administration in Nigeria. Pre-colonial administration in Nigeria. When we hear the word pre, we mean the things that happened before the coming of the white men. How Nigeria as a country was organized before the coming of the white men. To look into this, it will be very important if we take a little historical background of how Nigeria piloted its affairs before the coming of the white men. And for us to do this, we will take a discourse of this by classifying the pre-colonial systems in Nigeria into three. First of all, we have the Hausa-Fulani political system. The Hausa-Fulani political system took over the political leadership of the Habe, in bracket Hausa states, in the early 19th century. The jihad that preceded this occupation was seen as a religious one as well as political. Pay attention very well so that I can understand this. Othman Dan Fodio led the Fulani jihad and took over the political leadership of the Hausa and established the Sokoto Caliphate with outstanding centralized political system of government. Remember, we said that the Hausa-Fulani system was a centralized political system. He introduced a new system of selecting and appointing rulers, described as emirs, to rule the caliphate. Each of the emirs owed allegiance to Dan Fodio and his two representatives at Gwandu and Sokoto. They had a political administration which is structured as follows. Number one, the emirates. The caliphate was divided into emirates, and each emirate was headed by an emir. He had the responsibility of making laws, enforcing them, and also maintaining peace and order in his emirate. The emir was expected to administer the emirate in accordance with the provisions of the Islamic and Sharia laws. In fact, he was believed to have the divine right to rule. Each emir was assisted in the administration of the emirate by a number of advisors, which include the following. A. The Waziri. The Waziri was the head of all the officials. B. The Galadima. The Galadima was in charge of the capital. C. The Madawaki. The Madawaki was the commander of the army. D. Dogari. Dogari was the head of the police. E. Maji. He was in charge of the treasury. F. We have Sakinruwa. Sakinruwa was the head of the fishing officials. He was the river fishing official. G. We have Sakin Fada, the head of the palace workers. And H. Sakin Power, the head of all butchers. It will interest you to know that Waziri was a very senior advisor and administrator. He was the prime minister of the Emirates. So the Emirates is the first political administration structure. Number 2, Sokoto and Gwandu were the seats of the emirs. The emir of Gwandu controlled the Western Empire, while the emir of Sokoto controlled the Eastern Empire. They appointed emirs in each of the emirates under their jurisdiction. The third structure is that of district administration. Each emirate was divided into districts for convenience of administration. An official known as Hakimi was usually appointed by the emir to administer the district. So the person who administers the district, or the head of the district, was called a Hakimi. Number 4, village heads. Village heads were appointed by Hakimi to help in the collection of taxes. Example of taxes which they collected were the cattle tax and maintenance of law and order in the villages. 5, legislative functions. Islamic laws were the supreme laws of the Emirates. The emir had the capacity of making laws on matters which were not covered by Islamic laws. 6, executive functions. The emir was authoritarian and had absolute powers. Even though he had a body of advisors, yet he can ignore or accept their advice. 7, judicial functions. The judicial administration was based on Sharia laws. These laws were administered by alkali judges. Criminal and land cases were usually referred to the emirs because Sharia laws dealt mainly with civil cases. Number 8, centralized administration. The Emirate system was a highly centralized one, with the emirs possessing almost all the powers. Remember, we said that the emir was an authoritarian ruler. That is the Hausa-Fulani political system before the coming of the white men in Nigeria. Let us now look into the Igbo political system. The Igbo political system may be seen as a fragmented political system. Many institutions were in place and political authority was shared among them. For example, we had the 4 title holders who were the Council of Elders. We also had the other title holders. We had the age grades. We had the Umuada, etc. They were all involved in the power sharing exercise. No wonder then that the Igbo political system could be regarded to be acephalous, in quotes. This is to describe that the political system was decentralized, as there was the absence of power concentration and authority in Igbo political system, as it was more of the people's direct participation in their governments, which we call direct democracy. Unlike in those days, you would see that, as we know, even sometimes today, that some decisions are made in the village squares, where everybody will be summoned to come to decide on what happens in the society. At that village square or meeting, every adult male has the right to contribute in decision making. This is what characterized the pre-colonial Igbo political system, which even till today is still in existence, as most of the communities today experience this when their ages call for a general assembly where issues are discussed. So the Igbo political system was egalitarian, it was acephalous, it had no centralized system of government, it was decentralized, as every person was given the authority and the opportunity to participate directly in the government. Let us look into the structural organization of the Igbo political system. Number 1, village administration. The Igbo political system was based on the village as a political unit. A village is seen as inhabited by a group of related families. Each family head held the Ofo title, and all of them put together formed the Council of Elders. The council governed the village. At the village meetings, every adult is expected to participate. Among the Ofo title holders, one of them was recognized as the most senior to others, who was referred to as the Okpara, and he had the right to preside over the Council of Elders meetings, where issues affecting the people were discussed and implemented. The second structure is the age grade. The age grade was made up of young men that belonged to the same age group, and they performed the following functions. A. They were involved in the administration of the village. B. They were involved in the performance of public duties such as clearing of paths, road construction, market cleaning, etc. C. They also served as the potential army for the defense of the village against external enemies. D. They acted also as the police force, as they helped in the maintenance of law and order. E. The age grades also helped in implementing policies made by the Council of Elders. That is so that as youths, they had the vigor, they had the strength to carry out these obligations, which peradventure the elderly ones may not be able to do due to their old age. F. The age grades assisted in checking abuse of powers by the paramount rulers and Council of Elders. G. The age grades also performed ceremonial functions during important ceremonies in the community. Remember that in the system there was the absence of formal political institutions like the executive, legislative, or judicial arms. The third political structure was the executive. The affairs of the village are discussed from time to time by family heads. Every adult has the power to contribute. So the Council of Elders formed the executive. Legislature. Number 4. The villagers made laws themselves, and even the age grades can enact a law which the elders would accept. That is to also attest to the fact that there was the absence of formal political institutions like executives, legislative, or judicial arms in the Igbo pre-colonial political system. The judiciary. Number 5. In this area, family heads settled disputes between families. Serious cases were referred to the Council of Elders, presided over by the Okpara, and penalties were meted out to those who committed serious offenses like murder, stealing, etc. Unlike in the Igbo political system, When someone steals, the youths will carry him or her on their heads. They will maltreat him or her by flogging and using the stolen material to hang on his or her neck, thereby booing and wooing the person by singing some songs like Mbembe Konyo Hima, Mbembe Konyo Hima. So all these things were some of the ways by which the judicial function was carried out in the Igbo pre-colonial political system. Even some of us today even came out to inherit them. Almost, because when I was a young man, I think I experienced that, which when somebody steals and when the person is caught, the stolen material will be hung on his or her neck and the person will be made to go stark naked, and the people will boo him and flog the person and sing some songs of caricature to make jest of the person, aimed at correcting the person from such deviant behavior. The sixth political structure is the also title holders. Some wealthy and influential men took this title, which was very expensive. This title makes the holder to be recognized in society, which will also make him to preside over meetings about issues affecting the community with elders. 7. Provision of shrines. Shrines were provided and was seen as having political significance in providing bonds of unity and common ties. 8. Leadership. Selection to leadership positions was not hereditary in Igbo political system. It was made to be available for everyone. 9. The political system was more of a republican. Decisions were reached by consensus. Different institutions played different but important roles in administering the state or the system, as powers were shared by these institutions. This is the structure of the Igbo pre-colonial political system. Having seen this, does anyone have any question to ask based on the pre-colonial Igbo political system in Nigeria before we go to the next one? Okay? In the absence of this, let us go over to the Yoruba or the Oyo pre-colonial political system, or what we call the political system of Oyo Empire. Oyo was a vast empire or territory which was divided into different provinces. It happened to be the most popular and outstanding of all the empires or kingdoms in Yoruba political system. Oyo was able to influence issues in other areas like Republic of Benin, Ekiti, Ijebu, Ife, etc. The Oyo Empire was politically organized or structured or administered under the following. Number 1, political head. The Alafin was seen as the political head of the empire. He was chosen by the Oyo Mercy. It was claimed that he can only appear 3 times a year in public, and that was only during some historic festivals. To administer the empire, such persons were involved. The Alafin was assisted by the Aremo, the Bashorun Oyo Mercy, and others. The Bashorun was the prime minister, and the Oyo Mercy played a very key role in the administration. Number 2, the Aremo. The Aremo was the eldest son of the ruling Alafin, but cannot succeed his father at his demise. He can only work or assist the father in administering the empire. 3, the Oyo Mercy. These are the 7 hereditary kingmakers in the empire. The leader of the Oyo Mercy was the Bashorun. They are responsible for installing a new Alafin. If the ruling one happens to die, they will install a new Alafin. They also work hand in hand with the Alafin in administering the empire. Number 4, provincial governors. We had the Bale or Oba. Each province was administered by Ajale or Oba. They guarantee the payment of tribute and paying of homage to Oyo. There was the claim that these rulers had the power to threaten any hardened Alafin or chief by invoking the god of thunder and lightning through the court of Sango, a defied Alafin. It was alleged too that Sango was the god of thunder and lightning. 5, the army. Are Onakakamfo was the head of the army. Oyo had for long maintained a strong army and was involved in different wars. It was claimed that if the army suffer any defeat, the Kakamfo should commit suicide. However, the empire might experience a disobedient Kamfo who would refuse to take directives from the Alafin. Number 6, the Ogboni Society. This society possessed judicial powers and was involved also in policy making. The maintenance and preservation of the cultural values of the people were also given to them. The Ogboni Society was a secret society that influenced events in the society. Having seen these political systems and their structures, does anyone have any question based on these names we have mentioned? The Aremo, the Oyo Mercy, the Bashorun, the Are Olakakamfo, the Alafin, the other titles holders, the Council of Elders, the age grade, the Oba, the Aremo. Okay, as we said previously, he was the eldest son of the ruling Alafin. That means he was the first son of the person that was in the helm of affairs, just like the first son of the governor of a state. But something happened. The only thing he had as a limitation was that at the demise or the death of his father, he cannot succeed his father. So his work was only to help in administering the empire. It is the Oyo Mercy that determines who replaces a dead Alafin. So the Aremo was the eldest son of the ruling king, as we could say today. Okay, having known this, functions of traditional rulers in the pre-colonial political system. 1. They were involved in the maintenance of law and order in their domain. 2. They made laws, rules, and regulations. 3. They appointed subordinate chiefs to help in the administration. 4. They were involved in raising and spending of money. They served as political symbol of unity and power. Number 6. They were involved in the allocation and sharing of communal wealth and resources, including war booties. 7. Protection of their domain against external aggression was also a function. Their duty also includes to declare war and peace. These and many others are the functions of traditional rulers in the pre-colonial political systems. We have come to the end of our study on the pre-colonial political systems in Nigeria.